Okay, lie on your backs and just begin to settle in. Feeling your contact with the floor and just noticing how you are in this moment, the influences of the day so far on your ability to drop in, sensing into your contact with the floor. And just notice your breathing as the breath comes and goes. Just begin to feel where you feel the influences of the breath. Do you notice any movement in your lower abdomen? Is there any movements in your chest as your lungs fill with air and release the air back out into the room? Maybe you can sense the ribs lifting and lowering, allowing for more space as the lungs fill with each inhalation. And as we're often able to sense the movements of the breath on our front sides, in our bellies and in our chest, see if you can sense your breath in your back. As you inhale, is there any slight increase in pressure into the floor, behind your shoulder blades, your ribs, and your low back? And lightly place your fingertips on your lower abdomen, just sensing the filling and the emptying, as if down low, below your belly button, there's a golden ball. And as you breathe in, this ball fills with air, forward, backward, into your sides and down into your pelvic floor. And as you exhale, it's as if the ball deflates somewhat, filling and emptying. And then please bend your knees up one at a time. Find a good, secure placement for your feet. And begin again experimenting with pressing your feet, both feet into the floor, and feeling how that pressure through the feet is translated up your legs, into your hips, so that your pelvis begins to roll a little bit, allowing your lower back to get closer to the floor as you press through your feet, and coming away from the floor as you release through your feet. So you're pressing and releasing, causing your pelvis to roll upwards and downwards. And can you let your pelvis roll and continue to have that image of the golden ball? So it's as if the golden ball is rolling with your pelvis, a little up and a little down. And then let's include the image of the clock. So it's as if your pelvis is lying on the clock, and as you roll your pelvis upward towards your low back, you're rolling up towards the 12 o'clock, and as you roll down, you go to neutral, and then you roll down a little further towards your tailbone, rolling your pelvis towards 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. You can also notice if those gentle movements of your pelvis get translated up through your spine as your pelvis rolls and your feet press and release. Do you feel your spine responding? Up through the spine, maybe between the shoulder blades, and up into the neck and head. And then just keep your knees bent, but let the movement go for a few moments, just pausing, settling and resting. Noticing if your mind wanders, where does it go? What are the habitual places the mind goes in its thinking patterns? And then bring your attention back to your pelvis, the image of the clock. And let's imagine that 9 o'clock would be sort of underneath the right hip, and 3 o'clock would be underneath the left hip. And if for some reason that image doesn't work for you, you can switch your 3 and your 9 around. Whatever really works well is fine. And see if you can find a way to press through your feet so that you're rolling your pelvis right and left between 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And see if you can keep your knees relatively pointed towards the ceiling. So you can try this. One way to roll your pelvis from 3 to 9 is just to tilt your knees left and right, and your pelvis will follow. So that's one idea. And then the other idea would be to press through the opposite foot, which would lift that side of your pelvis and allow it to roll towards the other side. And just begin to sense into that line between 3 and 9 o'clock. Just making it soft and easy, not a lot of work. If there's any discomfort, you can just imagine it. You can go so slowly and so minimally, and yet still be involving the nervous system in experiencing the patterns of how you move, and new ideas, new ways to include the whole of yourself in movement so that your movement can become smoother and easier and more efficient. And then go ahead and just pause for a moment. And then let yourself roll up to 12 o'clock and gradually find your way around the whole circle. What's it like to go from 12 through 1 and 2 on the left, down to 3, 4, 5, and 6, crossing midline, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Just see how you find your way around the circle, clockwise a couple of times, noticing if you're breathing easily, if you're tensing in your jaw, your tongue. And can you have a sense that you're sort of rolling that golden ball around the clock? Allowing for a sense of fullness in your belly. It's like the opposite of Pilates. And then you can try going counterclockwise a couple times. And you might notice which way seems a little easier. If I could only do circles, pelvic clock circles forever, one direction for the rest of my life, which would I choose? And would I choose the one that's a little easier? Or maybe I would choose the one that doesn't go quite as smoothly or doesn't seem quite as easy, but maybe it's more interesting. Like, what's going on there? And then just let yourself rest and pause for a moment. You can let your legs up or down. Again, just noticing what the sensations are, connecting to the ground, feeling your breath, noticing the sense of a ball in your lower abdomen, filling and emptying with air. And then bend your knees up again. And this time let's play around a little bit. So bring your pelvis up to 12 and then roll right down to 6 o'clock. And can you roll straight over to 3 o'clock on the left and 9 o'clock on the right? And then see if you can find your way to 5 o'clock, just straight through, not around the circle, but straight across the clock to 5 o'clock. And then what about going straight over to 8 o'clock? And 3 o'clock? And 7 o'clock? Noticing if you're still breathing, and up to 10 o'clock. And 8 o'clock. And over to 1 o'clock. And 4 o'clock. And 6 o'clock. And 12 o'clock. And a couple more times between 6 and 12, and then just take a pause. And just reflecting on your strategy. Do you need to have a sense that you got each number perfectly, and does that make it difficult because you're not really 100% sure if you're getting the right number? Or if you accidentally ended up halfway between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock, but you were aiming for 1 o'clock, is that okay? Is the approximation good enough? Can you play with it and have fun with it? Noticing how you approach that. And then again, let's play with that a bit. So a couple times between 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock and over to 8 o'clock and 12 o'clock and 7 o'clock and 11 o'clock and 5 up to 2 and down to 4 and over to 6 up to 11 and 1 and 9 to 10 to 4 to 3 to 12 and 6 and 12 and 6 and rest. Who knew that there was so much variation in the pelvis, huh? A lot more fun than ab work. And then just gently bring yourself back to going around the whole clock. You can choose clockwise or counterclockwise. But just seeing if you can touch every number around the circle a couple times. And then see if gradually you can make the circle a little smaller. With each circle, a little smaller. As if gradually spiraling in smaller and smaller circles towards the center, until you're just making the smallest circle at the very center. And when you've gotten to the center, begin slowly and gently making a very small circle in the opposite direction and gradually spiraling out, each time a little bigger and a little bigger. Nice, big, full circle, as if your golden ball is just rolling round and round, following your pelvis. Breathing, noticing if your ribs are participating in the movement of your pelvis, if your spine is moving, feeling any changes in the pressure behind your shoulder blades. And then just settle in and rest and let it all go. Let your legs down long if that's comfortable for you. Just notice how you're lying here now, how your breath is. And then take your time, roll to your side. Stay with a little bit in the background, that sense of the golden ball in your lower abdomen as you come up to standing. Take yourself for a little walk and just notice the influences of the movements on how you are now compared to the beginning of the lesson. Thank you.